Hello, everybody. We are live on the first ever Corner Flag live stream on the new Corner Flag YouTube channel. Joining me is Mukesh and Prashant, but more importantly, joining us today is Soumil Arora. Soumil's from the Inside Line F1 podcast. He's a Man United fan. Soumil, say hello to everybody.
Hey everyone, what's up? If you're all fellow Man United fans, just hold your heart a little bit. Just hopefully it's not going to pain as badly today. But yeah,
Yeah.
things are good. Good to be here.
It's going to be it's a the thing about Man United is they love to give us heart attacks and palpitations every weekend. This today's against Arsenal is going to be one of the biggest ones. But we'll get into that because that is the whole point of this live stream. We thought we'll start doing live streams more regularly on this brand new YouTube channel that we've got. For those of you who don't follow us or subscribe us just yet, it is @cornerflagpod on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, whatever it is that you have to do on YouTube. Please wo kar do.
Smash them.
Smash it, yeah. Smash the like button. Smash
Like we
the
learnt
subscribe
them.
button. Yeah, like we learned. But yeah, and we also thought कि यार मुकेश को थोड़ा challenge करते हैं technologically.
Yeah.
To do this shit.
Oh my god, this is excellent. I love this. I cannot believe this. This is just beautiful. Classic Mukesh. But I can't say classic Mukesh because I had the technical problems this time, but it's okay. Mukesh.
I was hoping for Mukesh to come in and take your case for that shit. Because sir ji आपने तो हमें late किया. So by the way, we were supposed to start at 4 p.m. and we've started at like 4:05 or something. वो 5-minute delay has been because of Prashant.
He
Mukesh,
Mukeshed it.
Mukeshed it, correct. Mukesh, how do you feel being the person who was on time without any technical issues?
I hate it. I think it's more comforting when I'm last and technical issues because otherwise I'm just sitting and waiting. So next time, guys, watch out for my technical issues.
Wait, I'm thinking you hate waiting.
I hate waiting.
Oh,
I hate it when,
that's
I
why
hate it when people come late, so I come late.
Ah.
I hate latecomers so much. I'd rather.
Soumil, I'll just tell you the conversation that happened before you joined and before we started this Zoom call. Okay, Mukesh at 3:40 is ready. Okay, he's like, yeah, I'm ready. Send the Zoom link. So I was like, are you fully set up and ready? Mukesh is like, what do you mean set up and ready? We just have to take the call, right? I was like, yeah, Mukesh. What about your mic? He's like, oh, we need the mic and all. I was like, what made you think that as a podcast, when we do any sort of recording, live or not, you do not need a fucking microphone?
I was ready for a Google conference call. I was like, let's stream this directly to the folks at United and Arsenal. Then maybe.
हम लोग इतना भी poorly organized नहीं है यार. मतलब है, थोड़ा बहुत है, but इतना भी नहीं. But yes, so today we are talking about the big game that's happening at 9 p.m. tonight. 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time is the kickoff for Arsenal versus Manchester United. Soumil, I'm going to go straight to you first because you are our Adaraniya guest in today's live stream. कैसे लग रहा है यार? It's the first big encounter of the season. And United haven't looked at their very best in the first 3 game weeks. So your initial thoughts on the game?
एक minute, what do you mean first big? Nottingham Forest था ना last week. इतना बड़ा encounter है. Second half of Nottingham Forest, the biggest encounter we've had. 3 goals, man. What the hell are you talking about?
That is absolutely true. I mean, few teams are as challenging an opponent as Nottingham Forest, as we have learnt.
Exactly that. No, but in all.
Oh man, please don't. It's.
देख प्रशांत,
So you think?
अभी देख, आज तो संडे, हम लोग एक्चुअल रेगुलर कॉर्नर फ्लैग एपिसोड रिकॉर्ड करते हैं मंडे को. तो कल आई फील लाइक मुकेश एंड आकाश को, आई एम नॉट देयर, मुकेश एंड आकाश आर गोइंग टू मेक श्योर दैट वी डोंट रिकॉर्ड इन द स्टूडियो, वी रिकॉर्ड ऑन Zoom so that they can ask you about this Nottingham Forest result.
The better.
Or we leave a 5-minute gap and now time for some Prashant tears and then you can just like 5 minutes recording of you crying. Or...
Yeah, that's probably just going to be me and that 5 minutes asking, what was the score, Prashant? What was the score, Prashant? What was the score, Prashant?
Embarrassing yourself.
Who banega? Chelsea supporter.
No, but
Yeah.
just going back to you, Soumil, Arsenal versus United. I mean, one way to look at it is, yes, Nottingham Forest was a big challenge just last week, but also we can also make fun of Arsenal for being not that challenging an opponent. even though they came second in the league last year and they played well. They have made some progress.
They have.
And do you think that on paper right now Arsenal are the favourites going into this match?
I mean, purely because of last year's league position. But जब दोनों टीम को मैं ध्यान से देखता हूँ, it feels like midfield में क्या है? Like, what's going on, man? What tactics have they got on going here? Because there used to be a time where you could understand football tactics. Like you have a couple of fullbacks, they push wider, center defensive midfield drops back down. People like three people in the midfield trying to progress the ball, centre back supporting, wingers cutting inside. Simple, understandable. What sort of whack shit have we got on these days where the left back starts to play as the centre back, the right back starts to play as a centre defensive midfield. You've got 3-1, 3-4-3, and it all just doesn't work out. We're trying too hard to make total football work.
Yeah.
And clearly for both United and Arsenal, it's not working. I think at
And
the
then
moment
there's Pep, who's going full Tony Pulis, and he's like, I will just do centre defenders, do centre backs, do everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where are we going with the game, dude? What sort of tactical mess have we gotten ourselves into? And just for that, because I can't understand Arteta and Ten Hag as well for the last couple of weeks, I think I'll just go for the opponent bias and say Arsenal. Because इतना देखा नहीं उनको in comparison to us when I'm constantly pulling my hair out.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather say that the other team's going to win other than us because I see no reason why with that midfield we're going to win. Like, I know Mount is not there, but फिर भी यार क्या चल रहा है? What's
I mean, to be fair, so this is something that that has bothered me also a lot, which is that the midfield hasn't off on the right pace. You know,
Yeah.
they're not. They seem like they're not up to speed yet, and that is a big problem because I keep asking the question, yeah, what the fuck do you do in pre-season training then? What is the whole
Yes.
point of getting players in early from their holidays to start training early? But if it's not going to show in the first game week of the season, the second game week of the season, then what is the whole point of it? But having said that, even last year when Casemiro joined, the whole idea was he took about 4 games to get into his stride. So maybe now is when Casemiro starts, you know, really performing. And against Nottingham Forest, he did get a goal, so that's also going to be great for his confidence, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, but you all folks know as well how much of it all depends on just one proper, sane, normal-minded midfielder, not someone like Fred, not someone who used to be either the most world-class midfielder in the world on one day or absolute jack shit on the other. Just someone with a sane mind, someone like Amrabat.
Yeah.
I know I'm putting way too much expectation on that one guy.
I
but
feel like you are putting way too much expectations on Amrabat.
way too much expectation for someone who's only wanted just by United and Fulham.
Yeah.
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 But maybe we need something of that sort. I don't know if it's Casemiro just getting old or tired or whatever it might be, but just this doesn't feel like a Ten Hag team in any way whatsoever. And I don't think I can say anything different about Arsenal as well at the moment because last few matches, क्या चल रहा है यार?
I don't know if so I don't know if you remember last season, Man City for the first 10 games were quite shaky.
Yeah.
They were trying many things. They were having growing
Yeah.
pains because
Yeah.
Haaland was just up front, right? And he had 10 touches, which means
Wait,
everybody
growing
else was
pains
doing the
with
work of one extra
growing
player.
pains with 3 hat-tricks in 3 weeks? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
so something last season. So then I'm like, I don't know if Arteta's like, oh, maybe that's the strategy. You struggle the first 9-10 games and then you automatically win.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's his strategy because he's tweaking a lot. I think United's problem seems to be that they lack midfield strength. I think Arsenal's problem seems to be they don't know the right combination yet. They do have an Odegaard, they do have Havertz, they do have Rice, but they don't know how to fit everybody into the team. I think Partey's also just gotten injured.
Yep.
They have Zinchenko's already injured. I feel like they don't know what their winning combination is, but somewhere in there is a winning combination, is what the hope seems to be. So I think it's actually 2 different problems, but I think the outward effect seems to be the same, that the midfields of both teams seem confusing and no one knows what the correct combination is. But United, I don't think, have the adequate amount of world-class talent, and Arsenal has too much talent, but it's classic. They don't know who fits with who.
Yeah.
To the point, I think I'm seeing Arsenal fans say maybe it's time to let Odegaard go because he's done his job. He's done the job of raising the floor, but I think they want to hit a higher ceiling now.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is typical Arsenal fans. I feel this is typical Arsenal fans for a guy who is such a good player. Like he's such a good player that Real Madrid bought him when he was 15.
Yeah.
ठीक है वो उनका लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट था Matlab, Real Madrid to Martin Odegaard were like all the people in the 90s who invested in Reliance when it was at $200 a share.
Yeah.
You know,
When he had gone to Turkey and all to sell stuff, then the guys who invested with.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's such a good player. The fact that Arsenal got him when they did was such a good transfer for them. He's bonded really well with the coach. He's fit in really well with the system, to the point where Arteta's made him captain. He's that integral a part of the system. Like, he's not made Bukayo Saka captain, somebody who's come up from the ranks and you would consider to be like a future or a present Arsenal captain. He's made Martin Odegaard captain, and it has worked for them. Sure, they haven't won trophies, but that's fine. But they realistically were never going to win trophies immediately after Arteta joined. It was always going to be a period of transition where he builds a squad, he builds that culture, and then eventually you start seeing results. And to a certain extent, yes, we are seeing the results, we are seeing the progress. For Arsenal fans to then be like, "Ha, abhi uska ho gaya kaam," is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, and that is just tribalism of football fans. They don't know what they are talking about. Like, most football fans are just like, if your team wins on a day, they are the best team in the world, but the next week when they lose, they're the worst team. Sack the coach, sack the player, sack everybody else.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Akarsh Chandan is in our comments, by the way. I've just seen. He says,
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Be there. United is going to lose. Party. For an Everton fan to give United fans this shit takes next level guts. शेफील्ड यूनाइटेड को नहीं हरा सके ये मादरचोद लोग और ये इधर आके कमेंट्स में बोल रहे हैं कि यूनाइटेड इज गोइंग टू लूज. I mean, talk about projecting your desperation and depression on others. This is the textbook definition of that.
But is he wrong? Is he wrong, Amod?
I think he's wrong. I think United are going to win, dude. But we'll get to the predictions much later. अरे मैं United fan, of course मैं बोलेगा United is going to win.
Soumil thinks otherwise. Soumil thinks otherwise.
Soumil is being cautiously optimistic.
No. Soumil is
Reverse
doing
jinxing.
like, hey, maybe
Reverse
I'll
jinxing.
jinx it. Yeah. Soumil is doing like he's doing. He's trying to try tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so.
He's bargaining with fate.
Yeah. But let's go back to Arsenal before we dive heavily into the Man United chat, because there's 2 United fans on this live stream right now. I think we will get to that, but we'll start off with the Arsenal chat. The thing that you mentioned, no, Soumil is absolutely right. They don't know what their system is, and Mukesh, you also added that they don't know. The players are there, they don't know what their system is. He's tinkering too much, which is just, I feel, like a Spanish coach thing, overthinking and over tinkering. But let's talk about the Arsenal transfers now. Arsenal got Declan Rice for a club record and a British record fee, if I'm not mistaken. They've got Kai Havertz, and both these players are okay. Like, when Arsenal signed Declan Rice for the money that they signed him for, I was not entirely sure. And yes, I know this comes from a guy who supports a team that paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. Yes, I know. Let's get that out of the way. But realistically speaking, Prash, Mukesh, Soumil, do you think that Declan Rice was a good transfer for Arsenal?
Yeah, of course. I think
definitely rate. I mean, of course, everyone rates him. I think that's obviously why he was at 100 million thing. But I think if to use Declan Rice adequately, you probably need a double pivot. That means you probably need someone along with him. I think to probably just put him alone in front of the defense might be a poor idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Jorginho is going to be that player for Arsenal, or maybe they missed the trick by not signing someone bigger in that double pivot profile next to him. But because I think what happened now, you're going to force him to probably, if he's alone or if he's not with someone of good quality, then you're probably going to force him to make a lot more errors or take a lot more risks, which is going to make his profile look worse.
Yeah.
But I think if Arteta is smart, maybe I do feel like Jorginho is still the best bet. If they play Jorginho, then I do think it's a fantastic transfer.
Yeah.
With maybe Kai Havertz, because I think Kai Havertz playing that centre attacking midfielder role is probably what his best. I think he's one of those players who I've seen who's probably excellent in a 1 meter radius. Like, on a football pitch, everybody has like 10-20 meter radius are excellent at, and that's where they should be. Kai Havertz has like a 1 meter radius where he's excellent. He's probably the best in the world, but anywhere else, like his next best is goalkeeper or something. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. So I think he has a CM of 1 meter radius where he'll be good. Yeah. And you play double pivot with Jorginho and Declan Rice, and I think Arsenal is like up there. but it's about whether Jorginho can match up, and
Yeah.
I don't know, or maybe they wait till Jan to get someone in to match him, and then.
Yeah.
But
That's also a thing, right? It's kind of in that situation where you now have to unlock Declan Rice.
Yeah.
It feels like a Pogba scenario once
Yeah.
again. Like Pogba को unlock करेंगे, इसके साथ लाके unlock करेंगे.
Yeah.
4 season हो गया, कुछ unlock हुआ नहीं last में. But I don't know, because it feels like a strange one for me, because West Ham were the low block FC. I know what Arsenal tried to do when they tried to get him, kind of like an upgrade to Partey, someone who could play off a little bit better, someone who has a little bit more of a scoring threat. But then I don't think they've just got that combination yet. I think exactly when what Mukesh said, जब वो combination आ जाएगा, it'll be easier to see what value he adds. But I don't know any player today who can do a solo pivot as well. I think वो ज़माना ही निकल गया. You need more support in that midfield role. So at the moment it seems tricky, but yeah, you need to unlock Declan Rice as much as I hate that word.
Yeah, I mean, all those years that we waited for Pogba to be unlocked, by the end we realized that fucking lock only had got rust.
Exactly.
उसका कुछ point ही नहीं है, कोई भी चाबी उसमें नहीं घुसने वाला है. It needs to be burnt and melted, and that's the only way that it can get sorted. But
Seriously.
Prashant, I want to go to you because we are talking about Kai Havertz, famously an ex-Chelsea player.
कौन है वो?
I don't know if I
Who's
can
he?
use the player.
Who is he? कौन है कौन वो? किसकी बात हो रही है?
I mean, to be fair, Kai Havertz in a Chelsea shirt was as missing as you are suggesting right now. So I think
Exactly.
hey, Champions League final goal scorer.
Okay, I'm sorry, but every time
Yeah.
I say anything against Chelsea, the only response that people have on the internet is sharing gifs of the Chelsea team lifting the Champions League.
Yeah.
And it is. I'm like, how pedestrian do your comebacks have to be? है यार, सब लोग के पास है. आकर्ष चंदन के टीम के पास नहीं है. That's the only person that you can properly attack with that comeback. But everybody else here on this podcast has a Champions League. Okay, fine. Arsenal fan को भी तुम लोग अटैक कर सकते हो, पर Arsenal fan तो कॉर्नर फ्लैग पे नहीं होता है. So you know that is the big difference. So you can't share photos of the Champions League trophy and ask us when was the last time. Like somebody asked me, we posted a reel about Chelsea. We made some fun of Tottenham. Somebody said, when was the last time your team played in the Champions League? I was like, my team is playing this year. What about you? चुप बैठ गया वो. But yes, do you think, like on a serious note, do you think Kai Havertz moving to Arsenal was a good move for him and for Arsenal? Because it was probably a good move for Chelsea because they got the funding to buy 50,000 other players. But what about Arsenal and Kai Havertz in particular?
चेल्सी, एक सेकंड, पहली बात तो ये, चेल्सी के पास फंडिंग का कभी प्रॉब्लम हुआ भी नहीं है. लुक एट इट फ्रॉम हिस्टोरिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. हाँ बस, हाँ ओके, देन इट्स कूल. हाँ ओके, that is fine. That our accountants will figure it out. Oh, let it be with them. Whereas with Havertz, dude, I honestly think that he is a good signee for Arsenal. Like, I'll tell you why. Simply because I know he wasn't getting the kind of gameplay at the time when, like, the kind of structure Chelsea was setting up, he wasn't getting enough gameplay. He wasn't actually getting anything out of it, even though he's supposed to be the front and just kick it in, you know. But I think Arteta's end goal is not to just to first see that whether he can even do that in that setup with what he was already set up as earlier. But now he wants to try and figure out whether he can do a slightly different role. And I think Havertz made that conscious decision that I wanted to get out from that system and try something new. From that perspective, I think it is good. Whether he finds himself to be a better footballer from there, you know, that is what the whole question is. And I truly think that under Arteta, he will find it. Whether it works out for him, I don't know. It's the same thing whether with Declan Rice, whether they're able to unlock it, because honestly, I think it's just a couple of game weeks in. They've been practicing a bunch of stuff, but at least another 10, I would say at least another 10 games in, they'll definitely know whether which player stands where and what sort of system works.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think the only problem with that approach for Arteta is that last season was the trial season technically. Like if you are Arteta, this season, whatever buys you make, whatever systems you have to be challenging for the league. Otherwise, it's just okay. We tried hard. We came second once. It becomes like a flash in the pan, right? I think if last season was that season where Arsenal were those quiet underdogs that really punched above their weight. Everyone waiting for it. But this season they've gotten like the hundreds of millions of rupees to do, or pounds or whatever to do transfers, right?
Yeah.
They enter as favorites in most games, whereas last season that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Especially when they're facing the top 6 or the top 7, they weren't the favorites. At least in the first half of the season, right? They were the underdogs. They were trying to piece it together. But I think to the fact that Arteta still, hey, I'm still experimenting things. I think that's a weak argument or a weak managerial tactic. I mean, it's still very.
But do you think he's figured it out?
I don't think he's figured it out. Which I'm saying, I think it's a mistake that as a manager, you got one season to figure it out. Then you have a fantastic summer where your owners are with you. They give you as much money as you've asked for. They give you Declan Rice, which is probably the best. I think I would say the transfer of the league, which is pretty much on par with Bellingham to Real Madrid.
Really?
I think it's that caliber of a player moving across.
No.
Yeah, Declan Rice is that good.
No.
As I was in the league, definitely in the league for me.
No.
I think now to be like, hey, I'm still tweaking sounds weak, but
I'm sorry. I just need to cut you off here because Declan Rice to Arsenal is not that profile of a transfer. Sergio Reguilon on loan to Manchester United is that type of a transfer. That is Bellingham to Real Madrid level transfer, not Declan Rice to Arsenal. But yes, now you can carry on with your point.
I was just saying, so it is a weak argument for Arteta to be considered because people are suddenly putting him up on par with Pep, Klopp, and Simeone as a tactician. I'm like, no, but you just came second once.
Yeah.
If you really want to be at that level, now you should be confidently challenging for the league.
Yeah.
You can't be actually I'm stumbling and the potato's too hot. I can't catch it. It can't be that. Yeah.
I mean, the potatoes too hot. That's no way to talk about Kai Havertz, but sure, we will let go of that discussion.
But he is.
He pretty much is. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Soumil, you were saying something, I think.
No, just Kai Havertz simping aside. No, the point being that ideally in year 2 you tend to build up upon what sort of system you already have.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from a transfer perspective, what Ten Hag would do is, chalo, I know a certain style of football is to be played. I know my goalkeeper is to be of paramount importance to my team, and I need someone who can play with the ball. Chalo, theek hai, goalkeeper leke aake rakh diya. With Arsenal, it was all technically fine from a tactical standpoint. They just needed more players to do a higher quality job, more backups, more maybe someone for Gabriel Jesus who could stay in the line and maybe fire in every single time he was injured. And Nketiah is there, but you need some variation, something of that sort.
Yeah.
Someone to cover off those positions. And they went in and bought Kai Havertz. Creativity the problem thi hi nahi yaar. तुम इसको क्यों ले आए? Declan Rice, you still get it because Partey is sort of unreliable at times here and there, but it just doesn't add up to me, to be honest.
Yeah. It's a surprising transfer for sure. Souvik Nath on the comments is commented a little while ago. We'll just address that. On a different tangent, anyone watching the original derby, Mohun Bagan versus East Bengal? Yes, the Durand Cup final is also today. So anybody on this podcast watching the Durand Cup final, East Bengal versus Mohun Bagan?
Not watching, but following.
Acha, theek hai. I'm not watching because Mumbai City got knocked out, so my loyalties lie elsewhere. So I am not going to be watching the final. But yes, like Mukesh said, I will be following it. It'll be fun. Souvik, if you're a East Bengal or Mohun Bagan fan, good luck to your team. If you're not either of those fans, well done for still supporting Indian football, even when you don't have any skin in the game. You are a much better person than all of us, sir, and we respect you for that. Right, so the big news, of course, from the Arsenal camp ahead of this match is Thomas Partey is injured and he's not available. And we spoke about Zinchenko also being injured, and weirdly enough, Zinchenko more than Partey is a very important player for Arsenal because he handles that left back role and he can also drift into midfield, which is what, like we suggested earlier on the podcast, is something that Arteta likes to do. But Partey being injured, I don't think it's that much of a worry for Arsenal as many Arsenal fans are making it out to be. I know some United fans who are celebrating the fact that Partey is injured. I'm like, wo karta kya hai? And to add to that, he is now being, in the last game, I think Arteta played him at right back and it was abysmal, his performance. So, what is the point of having him in the team anyway? The fact that he's injured is probably worse for Man United.
Yes. Yeah, I think they'll now go for a more sensible lineup, if that really makes sense.
Yeah, I think Arsenal missed the trick. Actually, I think maybe they should have sold Thomas Partey. I think they should have they should probably gone for a better player. I think this injury and this sort of issue with Thomas Partey seems to have been coming for a while. So I don't know how they'll line up unless I hope they go full attack where they play Kai Havertz, they play Gabriel Jesus, they just play everybody up top with one Declan Rice. So it becomes like a 3-1-7 or something like that.
3-1-7, my God. Perfect for Marcus Rashford.
Oof, amazing. That would be fantastic if we can just beat that offside trap, get the ball, go 1-on-1 from his own half, and then hopefully not fire wide, because he is known to do that as well. The other big talking point with regards to Arsenal's transfer window and leading up to this game as well is the fact that they've signed David Raya from Brentford. Now, a lot of football experts and people who know more about this than all of us do were talking about the impact that David Raya is going to have in this Arsenal dressing room, because Aaron Ramsdale up until this season was undisputed first choice goalkeeper for Arsenal. And Akash on the podcast many times in the past has said that he doesn't really rate Aaron Ramsdale. So having David Raya in there as a backup is a good thing, and there is a possibility that Raya might also usurp the number one position from Aaron Ramsdale. But where do you guys stand on having two almost first choice goalkeepers competing for that number one jersey, as opposed to having one obvious first choice goalkeeper and one younger backup goalkeeper who will only come in for cup games or when the first choice goalkeeper is injured?
Go
for it.
I'm very much against this because I feel like your goalkeepers need to be mentally strong. At the end of the day, I think more than strikers, more than any other position, as someone who's seen Loris Karius and Simon Mendele, it is goalkeeper is a pure fragility game. Like you need goalkeepers to be strong, have mental fortitude, not be nervous. So if two first choice keepers is a very bad idea, and I think Klopp or maybe even Brendan Rodgers did that with having Simon Mignolet and Loris Karius. Of course, they're not even, I think, 3/4 of the talent that Ramsdale and David Raya have, but I think that was a mistake. And they fed off of each other with very bad erosion. It didn't do wonders. I think the ideal strategy, like you said, is having one first choice keeper, one young guy who's about 20, 21, who's rising up the ranks, and then one 35, 40-year-old who's just like chilling, like one Scott Carson type.
ये मेरा pension plan है.
Yeah. Like he's that guy. He'll still take autographs from players for his kids and like that kind of a keeper. So that was that ideal strategy. I think I'm not a big fan of this, but maybe Arteta knows better. Arteta knows more.
Yeah.
But it seems like it might backfire. It also seems like Ramsdale might do way more flashy saves.
Yeah.
Like he when he collects the ball, when it's just rolling to him, also he'll like dive over it. It'll be fun for video editors. Huh?
Yeah, he's definitely going to do whatever he can to prove that he deserves to be in that number one spot, right? Like he's going to go crazy, right? But it's still there to be seen who's going to actually start in today's game, because David Raya, of course, has been on the bench for the last couple of games since his transfer. But maybe this is or do you think that this is the right game or the wrong game to introduce a new goalkeeper into the lineup, considering it's United versus Arsenal and it's a big game? Do you think Arteta would be wise to stick with Ramsdale, or do you think he should tinker and get David Raya in? Prashant, let's ask you, because you have nothing to say up until now.
I do actually in this case. I think it was a good choice to have both number one keepers in this case. Simply because they're going to have a bunch of fixtures that they want to try and do a lot of tinkering with, and if their first choice keeper is not fit, at least they have another number one keeper. At least that's my opinion of it. I don't think this is a good fixture to bring out Raya right now. I would say that maybe practice him in trying to figure out what sort of suggestions he may have. Again, this is something that Arteta will only know, that what could have Ramsdale done better, or maybe what Raya would have done better in certain situations. Go back and speak to him about it. These are just types of conversations that maybe that will at least allow Arteta to know what would Raya have done in that instance, even if he's not playing in that game. I would suggest, at least I would think that he'll have Ramsdale start the game.
Yeah.
I think the only case for starting Raya because I do feel like Ramsdale should start because he has experience in his fixture and it's
Hmm.
maybe if it was home end then maybe Raya could have felt the support, but because away end fans bantering it better. I think because David Raya has such wonderful like distribution, him being in the at the goal line probably means that United midfields are always like a few steps behind to stop or to collect the passes that he's going to take. Otherwise, with Ramsdale,
Yeah.
they might be in far more attacking positions. And because like anyway, the defense and midfield looks weaky it seems, leaky and weak.
Leaky,
Weaky.
shaky, weak. Okay, that's a new term that we
That's
can
a
use.
weaky is the thing. It might be better to start Raya because then you anyway push United's defense back with the threat of Raya using some fantastic distribution, etc.
Right. Awesome.
Hmm.
Let's now move over to the Man United side of things.
Oh, yuck.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm with you, Mukesh. Yuck. What is happening?
So much hatred for Nouri. I don't know why I called you two fuckers on this. Soumil and I should have only done this.
Huh.
Why
Good
not?
luck having a conversation with someone who'll be like jinxing it and he'll be like, yeah, they're gonna lose. Yeah, they're gonna lose.
Yeah,
And you'll feel worse.
of course.
At least Prashant and I would give you some like chance ki okay, maybe it might be a draw. They'll take away a point or if not 3. Someone will be like, no, they're gonna lose. I hope they get thrashed. I hope they get thrashed because he just wants to jinx them.
Yeah, but-
Exactly. Reverse jinx.
But, reverse jinxing and all is fine, but I would like to point out that Soumil at no point said, I hope they get thrashed. This is sensational
Yes.
journalism from Mukesh Manjunath. He's the Arnab Goswami of the corner flag. No, but let's talk about Man United. We'll first start off with the transfer window that United have had because after a long time, I feel like after a very, very long time, we've seen more than 3 players come in one transfer window, which has taken all United fans by surprise.
Yes.
Mason Mount, Andre Onana, Sofian Amrabat now, Sergio Reguilon on loan, and I feel like I'm missing one more person.
Altay Bayandir?
Altay
goalie?
Bayandir. Yes, Altay Bayandir. So 5 players have come in. We've obviously sold a bunch of players as well.
Oi,
But
Rasmus Højlund.
Rasmus,
What the hell?
Højlund, that's who I was. That's
How?
Easy fit.
He's
He
fit.
is?
He is fit. But okay, before we get into fitness and prospective lineup, what do you feel about our transfer window this season? Soumil, as a United fan, how are you feeling about this transfer window?
I should be feeling better than I am. Honestly. Because if you look at this on the but has to be there. Obviously there is a but.
Yes, I'm waiting for that.
Because on paper, if you look at all the grounds that we had to cover, we needed a striker, we got a striker. We needed a goalie, we got a goalie. We needed a midfielder, we got the wrong one. We needed another midfielder, okay, we got the okay one. Okay. Only wanted by Fulham. So we beat up Fulham to get a midfielder. That's great on our part.
Yeah.
But we also needed some backup for Casemiro. We've sort of gotten there, not so much really. We needed someone in the right wing to challenge Anthony because otherwise he'll just be spinning around and putting the shots wide. Didn't really get that. So how would you rate it? I think 7 on 10 is a fair analysis to give. But that rating purely depends on Mason Mount. Agar wo chala to fir 8 on 10 nahi chala to it could drop back down to 5.
Yeah.
Because honestly, why was he the first transfer you made?
Yeah,
When there's so much more to be done,
Yeah.
why did you get him and kept Amrabat till very late and got him only on loan?
Absolutely.
I should be feeling more positive, but I'm not. I don't know. It just feels like they're not ready yet. So maybe when it comes around, I'll feel a little bit better. But there are still holes to be plugged in. Like clearly, we need to sell off the deadwood that we have. Like there's no point of not selling McTominay and selling Fred. Like at least take industrious backup to tha yaar. Banda ko bhagta to tha, kuch to karta tha.
Correct.
Like, now we have nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Prashant, as a Chelsea fan, Mason Mount to Manchester United, do you think that was a good transfer for Man United?
Oh, come on, man.
And Chelsea. And
No.
Mason Mount.
You know what Chelsea's been doing? We've been getting rid of players. Why are we getting rid of players? Apart from the business talk about it, they don't want certain players who don't want to be in the club. If Mount didn't want to be in the club, it is good for him. If he wants to perform well at United, it is his decision. So in that way, it is good.
Yeah.
At the same time, United have also filled up their English quota. They will get a.
Yes.
So I mean, come on, right? English quota. We know we are going to get the boy who's going to support it, and there's always the drama that going from a blue jersey to a red jersey. They've played into that fact. Now we are entirely leaving this on Mount. Whether this fellow wants to adapt to the game, or will the manager be able to get the game out of him? That is, that's entirely on the player and the manager, how well they be able to bring this out.
Yeah.
I think it is purely from a business perspective, it is a great signing for United. तुम लोग ने मतलब merchandise पे पैसा बनाया होगा.
Hey.
Wow,
deep
come
down
on,
line,
man.
dude. Deep
But
down
Chelsea
inside,
fans
I
are
know
Come
giving
on.
answers only in finance. Now, even earlier he was like,
Come
I'm
on.
accountant guy.
exactly.
Now he's like shirt sales.
Share your true feelings, dude. Share your true feelings.
He's Gujarati, dude. What
Dude.
else do you expect?
Oh, Gujarati
See,
Chelsea fans.
obviously, I wouldn't.
That's dangerous.
I mean, see, he's a homegrown academy from Chelsea, right? And obviously, it hurts to like let him go, because he was one of the players that who really felt that Chelsea could have become something more, and underplaying with Tuchel, with Lampard, he found like a really good gameplay with it. Maybe the same mentality he wants to go and find with another manager. He was not finding it with Chelsea.
Yeah.
And of course, it was obviously with the pay scale and whatever he was asking, they weren't able to match it at some point. There's a lot of issues over there. But otherwise, he wanted to go out and just find a better gameplay, which he wasn't able to find with Chelsea. So while it does hurt, it's good that he's able to go to a bigger club. It's not like he's gone to a club where it's going to be very heavy.
One
to
second.
Tell me. 1 second.
He admitted to the fact that United is a bigger club. I'm glad.
Have you seen Chelsea's condition for the past 2 years?
No, there are so
Okay.
many Chelsea fans who don't admit. They're like, "Arey bro, हमारा भी club भी तो बड़ा
No,
है,
no.
Champions League जीते ना."
He's saying
Probably
current,
would
which
have come-
is fair. I think that's like, it would be wrong, like, it'd be like foolish to be like, right now, Chelsea's the best. Like,
No.
Nice.
Last 2 years, 3 years, look at the
Yeah.
performance that we've come out with. Conditions not been great. A lot of situations have come up and down. So in that, if you have found a diamond from our club and you've taken it, how do you think I would feel about it? Tell me, Soumil.
Bro, ये validation थोड़ी ज़्यादा हो गई United के लिए यार. आज के लिए
Tell me.
goal नहीं था.
Tell me.
Oh, Soumil, you're falling for the reversing of your reverse
Yeah,
jinx.
that's true. The reversing of the reverse jinx is happening. और मुझे ऐसे I don't know if I should feel happy or a little suspicious.
I think it's time to
Ah.
panic, boys. I think it's quite clear.
Mukesh, we are Man United fans. I think from the time the season started, the panic started. The panic is the default setting. Did you not see the game against Nottingham Forest?
Good game.
You probably didn't because you're a Liverpool fan. Why would you? But yeah. Yes. Just heading over to the comments for a second. Abhishek Ganti, friend of the flag. Abhishek Ganti has logged in finally. We were wondering
Oh,
where
yes.
Abhishek Ganti was going to be, but he has commented, "Hello, how are you boys? Hoping for a Martinelli hat trick because Amog's FML position, not FPL, FML position is annoying me." For those of you who don't know, my FML position is number 1 in the comics Premier League, and I think I'm in the top 30 in the Conflag, which is quite good out of like 120 or something people. So not bad. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying my FML status. So Gandhi, I hope Martinelli blanks, gets a red card, and that would be really nice. Right. So that was basically the United transfer door. Let's go to Rasmus Højlund now, because he's the big guy that we're all waiting to see. He is the budget Erling Haaland. Naam bhi almost similar hai. And we knew as United fans that United desperately needed a striker because the only other option was Anthony Martial, and he is not a striker or a winger or a midfielder or a football player. He is a patient in a hospital क्योंकि वो ज़्यादातर injured होता है और कुछ उखाड़ता नहीं है. So we desperately needed.
Say what you want of Martial. To be honest, he does have some moments
He
when you
has-
least
that is
expect it.
Bro, Golden Boy 2015 अमोग यार. Support our man यार. क्या
When
कर
you
रहा है?
least expect him.
I will give you that. Yes, the thing is his entire,
But he really pushes you to the point of expecting the least
Yes,
from him.
exactly.
Like, he really pushes you there. Like, I'm like, oh, like, can I expect?
I
any
remember
more
so
least?
much. I remember so much that his debut against Liverpool, where he put Martin Skrtel on his bum, and then put that exquisite finish past, I think, Mignone only it was.
Yeah.
And Martin Tyler's commentary in the back, it was iconic. And you thought that, fuck, if this is the guy that we have signed, he's this young and he's playing like this on his debut against Liverpool. So, yaar, this is going to be a great time for us. It's going to be absolutely fantastic for us. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So we desperately needed a striker, and we knew that. But when he came in, he was injured, and so he wasn't able to feature in the first few games. Now it seems like he is fit. Eric Ten Hag has said that he has done an entire week of training and he is fit. So, are you excited to see him in the starting lineup, or do you think he'll come off from the bench?
Wait, one sec. Mukesh, are you excited to see him?
I'm excited to see him. I do think just to see just to hope Rashford is fit, right? I'm guessing there's no issue with
Yes.
Rashford. So just to see Rashford play 90 minutes of football in a position that he wants to play in, because I just want Højlund to start. Even though I do think the better strategy is to introduce Højlund at 60 minutes because he's coming from injury, he's new, whatever, he's new to the. Just ease him into it in the last 30 minutes. If he scores, super sub, fantastic. If he doesn't, nobody's going to really blame him. But just because I want to see Rashford play, Perry wants to play, because not only because I like to see Rashford play, but also he looks like such a sulker right now. He looks like he's constantly sulking. People on the football pitch who just sulk all the time. I'm not getting it. I'm like, it's such a bad sight. It makes football look bad when a player sulks so much. So just to see that, I'd rather have Højlund start. But obviously, I think obviously Eric Ten Hag is like, I want to see Rashford play. So I think he's probably going to come as a sub around 60 to 70.
Yeah. Also at left back, we've got Sergio Reguilon, who is very, very likely to start this game because Malacia and Luke Shaw are both injured. And we cannot keep playing Diego Dalot at left back. वो right back भी barely खेल पा रहा है. तो left back पे उसको खिलाना is out of the question. How do you rate Reguilon's transfer?
It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? It's like आ गया है बड़ी बात है. It's great that we've managed to get someone because we normally don't tend to. We just sign them on the last day of the transfer window, even though we've had the deal agreed for 2 months. So, okay, it's great that someone's here. But I honestly don't know much about Reguilon because every time you watch him, he looks like a good player. He's like, he can cross the ball with both feet. He can do one-on-ones decently. He can push forward and chuck some balls in for the striker. Achha hai. But then you don't know why he couldn't even fit in at Tottenham and why he couldn't make it stick at Atletico. So
exactly. So
I don't know.
Correct.
It's if you are a defender, right? And he's what? Right back, left back?
Left back.
And if you couldn't make it at Tottenham.
Atletico,
And Atletico, if Simeone felt like he couldn't coach you, it's probably a bad buy. It's probably not a wisest buy. It's probably just a body.
It's a buy. It's something.
It's a buy.
It is a body, right? It is a body.
But you don't. But I'm saying that those are great for cups, right? Those are great for cup games.
अरे भाई, दो left back दोनों injured है तो अभी क्या करेगा भाई?
If you have no option, then the question is not whether it's a good strategy. Then it's not a strategic choice to play him. Then it's like, then it's like Eric Ten Hag has to play left back. Like if that's the option, then I'm like, okay, then you play him.
But here's the interesting thing, okay? Because since Luke Shaw got injured and we realized that we needed to go into the market for a new left back on a loan, because there's no point in buying like a permanent left back. A loan is basically what you need, right? The options were Sergio Reguilon or Marc Cucurella or Marcus Alonso. Now, Prashant, as a Chelsea fan,
भाई ले लो, दोनों को ले लो.
I feel like
if you take Cucurella, there's something amazing that will happen for you. Okay, simply because you're going to get a penalty. You are guaranteed a goal. I'm going to leave it there.
No, but see.
Okay, with Alonso,
I feel like this is going to be a running theme throughout the season. Whenever we are talking about any player, we are going to be 6 degrees of separation away from Chelsea, because they have provided so many players to the overall global football market and taken so many players. Everywhere, somewhere, कोई तो Chelsea link है. No, so I feel like between the three options, very honestly speaking, between the three options, I feel like Reguilon is the best option.
Yeah.
Also,
just bear in mind, Amog. Bear in mind when what was the line that we said when Kane went to Bayern?
What was the line that we said?
You can take the Tottenham out of.
अरे यार.
ठीक है ना? Just bear that same dialogue even for Reguilon.
Yeah.
Then don't come back and blame him about something else. Just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Even if he's the only better option for you.
Absolutely. No, I feel like we said that about Harry Kane, but then he started playing well. No, now he's scoring for fun in the Bundesliga. Like he is fulfilling that prophecy.
Because he's listening to our podcast, I'm telling you.
Yes, exactly. He listens to our podcast and then he gets all the fodder that he needs to go out and play well. Basically, Thomas Tuchel को बोलना चाहिए कि भाई तू टीम टॉक मत दे, तू सिर्फ कॉर्नर फ्लैग बजा ड्रेसिंग रूम में और हम लोग सब लोग मोटिवेट कर लेंगे. No, so I feel like going back to Reguilon, the point I was trying to make is, if you remember, I think this was under was this under Ole or was this at some point? I think Mourinho was at Spurs at this point.
Yes.
And United were in the market for a left back at that point, and Sergio Reguilon was very close to joining Man United then. But he was deemed too expensive, and Spurs swooped in and got him. And we ended up buying Alex Telles in that window to fill that left back spot.
Worked out well.
So yeah, and I feel like we have had interest in Sergio Reguilon for a very long time. So we have enough data on him. The scouting department has definitely done work and has put the data together. And I feel like as a short-term, season-long loan option, he provides a great alternative. Yeah, from what I've seen, he's good up in the attack. He's decent at defending as well. I think he can fit very seamlessly into the system that Ten Hag wants to play. And as a stopgap option, considering Luke Shaw is still going to be number one whenever he comes back, I think he's a very, very effective backup option. Also considering the fact that Malacia is not as experienced in the Premier League as Reguilon. So I feel I'm quite optimistic about him, in fact, at left back.
I mean, that's what the optimism is that, yeah, he's a good substitute. Like, but that's not a very optimistic position to be in overall. Like, if your idea was that, oh, he's a bad substitute, then I'm like, bro, just go to the MLS already. Right? The idea is that, is he worth? If Luke Shaw was available, if someone else was available, would he even compete for that position? And the answer is clear, no.
Yeah.
You're kind of being forced to start with him.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking if you were going to go for the Bayern, might as well try an academy kid who's like 21 at left back, who has a lot more pace. I think Reguilon is about 27, if I'm not 26. 28, yeah. So he's not, I'm not saying he's not fast, but I'm sure there'll be a kid who's probably faster and could probably give a little more passion and fire at the Emirates and etc. Whereas Reguilon, I'm not sure about. He seems like a traveler. He's gone to Real Madrid, come to Tottenham, gone to Atletico, and gone to Sevilla.
Kuch to hai. And I completely agree with you, Soumil. I feel like this is the one transfer window where we have acted. Otherwise, we take so long. And even in a good transfer window like this, like you said, the Amrabat signing being made on deadline day on loan was just ridiculous, because 2 महीना के लिए बेचारा उधर रुका था Fiorentina में. He wasn't training with them because he's like, नहीं मेरे को जाने का है, Man United, they're interested, they're going to make an offer. It's like a weird rom-com situation that happened here. The girl is just like, I'm going to wait for the one. Mr. Right is out there. Uska present is being fucked over, but finally it came through, so that's a good thing. Right. What else? What else is there? Shall we just take a little bit of break from the football chat and talk a little bit about F1, considering Soumil is here?
Oh no. F1, my God, finally. I mean, touchwood, this weekend there is some action happening, but do you really hold up, Soumil? Let's be really realistic about this one as well. How long do you think Sainz is going to hold it for? 3 laps. Not much. You think 3 laps?
And that's the F1 conversation.
Really?
That is it. That's all we have to talk about F1.
It's true though. Incredible because I know nothing about F1.
But you
I don't even know driving.
But you had some questions. You had some questions that you wanted to ask Soumil about F1.
Shoot, why not?
Those cars are automatic, or what? Or do they have gears?
I mean, in a way, as stupid as it sounds, it's kind of like the drivers are being given more aids than no, not more aids.
Wait, what?
It's not an aid. I would say
more driving aids than.
I'm sorry.
Your normal grandma, because
wait, driver ko aids ho raha hai gaadi mein? Like,
I have driving aids. I
have heard of technology giving you cancer, but an F1 car giving you AIDS is brand new information. But
it's
yes,
the engineers.
Is that why they lose 5 kilos in one race?
Oh, it's gonna be
So you have like a stupid little beep, and I don't even get it why. I mean, if you've driven a car at least once in your life, you'll know when to change gear. If you don't know when to change gear, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be driving a car. Simple. You haven't learned it. And so
My
Formula
God,
One
what's
drivers,
happening in F1 that the instructions are this bare minimum?
bro, legit. So they have a beep like every time the car goes up to the rev limit, the engineers are programmed like an ideal rev range pe beep, so the drivers know when to shift.
Yeah.
And most of them don't even use it, but वो just है as a background में beep, oh अच्छा change करना है. It's stupid, but it's a semi-automatic paddle shifter thing where you've got to tap your way out. It's okay. It's the most efficient way out.
I
But they
think
have a hand clutch. Do you know the fun part?
Yeah.
the biggest question though is Ferrari average कितना देती है?
An average of 3 headaches per weekend. So one on Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. ज़्यादा नहीं.
Acha, cool. Abhishek in the comments is saying Carlos Sainz is going to hold it for 3 turns. So there's your answer.
I'm with
turns
him.
be-
I am with him.
3 turns be reasonable.
I don't even think that 3 turns.
Mukesh, what do you
I
think
don't think
about
so.
this? What do you think about Carlos Sainz?
Ketchup packets are nice. What do I know? I was like, wow,
वो
all these
Heinz
brands
है.
being thrown at me.
Yeah.
Ketchup. Huh.
Yeah. All right. Back to the football chat as we start wrapping up this live session of the Conflag. Also, I just like to point out that the reason why we did this live preview of the game this early on, because of course kickoff is at 9 p.m. but we started this live at 4 p.m. The reason why we did that was because we want to also release the audio of this entire live on the podcast feed. So for those of you who don't subscribe to the Conflag YouTube channel or haven't watched the live, in just a bit, just before kickoff, you will be getting an update in your podcast apps with this episode out there. So, you know, you can listen to it just before the game kicks off and you'll see if our predictions came true or not. And speaking of that,
And then say that yes, Mukesh was right. They got thrashed.
yeah. But yes, coming to that, let's wrap up with the predictions. I'll start off with you, Soumil. Soumil, what is your score prediction for today?
So before I tell you what my number is, you need to know a little bit about my superstition. As I mentioned, पहले मैं reverse jinx तो हमेशा करता हूँ.
हाँ.
And the worse I predict United to lose by, the more they tend to win by. So
Okay.
I'm going to say that's just the way things are. And it all started off with that whole Alexis Sanchez, Paul Pogba game when we
Right.
beat Man City when they're about to lift the title.
Yeah.
I said, fuck it, we lose 3-0, and then we ended up winning 3-2. That was good. But 3-0. 3-0 is the magic number that always works for us. 3-0 to the home team.
Okay.
And it'll be Rasmus Højlund getting his debut goal. So,
All right.
one is the heart, one is the mind. So,
Wait, you're saying 3-0 to Arsenal?
एक तरफ दिमाग बात कर रहा है पहले,
हाँ.
दूसरी तरफ दिल बात कर रहा है. दिल कह रहा है कि हॉयलैंड गोल मारेगा. So
Let's see which one of those works.
Exactly.
Mukesh, what's your prediction?
Oh, I think it's a 2-1 to Arsenal. Just feel like
2-1 to Arsenal.
good
Huh?
things 2-1 to Arsenal.
You feel very sad when you're leaving that prediction out in the world.
Because I want to draw actually. I want both teams to draw points.
Acha.
My favorite outcome in such matches is an exciting draw.
Prashant, what about you?
I think it'll be a 2-1 as well. 2-1 or either 3-1 to Arsenal.
Arey yaar,
To Arsenal,
ek
to
to
Arsenal.
goal.
Yeah.
3-1. Take it as 3-1. Take it.
I'll say 3-1. I'll say it's 3-1 because I don't have faith in Onana. So
Hey, come on. Hey, don't blame it on Onana, man. Come on. Of all the people in the world, you could blame it on Lindelof.
Yeah.
no. I don't know. That's my prediction. Let's see that.
Okay.
But what's his name? Onana? Sorry, I had to do it. एक बार तो बनता है.
Yes, that is. My FPL team is called Onana Patekar.
On this episode. Only on this episode.
Only on this episode, which is a great way to wrap up. I feel like it's going to be a 2-1 victory to United. I'm going to keep this red flag flying high or whatever. I feel like United are definitely going to win.
Red flag
Supporting
is
United
fine.
is a red flag, buddy.
Yeah. that is absolutely true. Just before we wrap up, new comments have come in. Ravi Kumar has said, "Hi, Azim introduced me to this podcast. Nice work. Thank you, Ravi, for watching us, and thank you for thinking that our work is nice. And thank you to Azim for introducing you to us. बहुत सारा कनेक्शन है, बट वी आर ग्लैड दैट यू मेड इट ओवर हियर. प्लीज़ लाइक, शेयर, सब्सक्राइब वो सब करते रहो, and keep listening to us because we drop episodes every week. He's also said Lindelof is going to score today and 2-1 United victory. So
Yes.
you know, that's a bold choice, Ravi. And if you have an FPL team, I would love to see you triple captain Lindelof because of this.
Put your money where your mouth is. Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see if that works out or if it doesn't.
Yeah.
2-1 to United. Ravi's supporting me in this one. So good stuff. Just quick bits of admin before we wrap up. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and also on YouTube now @CornerFlagPod. Soumil, Inside Line podcast is available on Instagram and Twitter as well. What's the Instagram and Twitter handle?
It's at Inside Line F1 Pod. So we've got race review and preview episodes every single week. And if you're in Mumbai, we always organize race screenings as well. So we have a really fun post-race and pre-race show. जो Italian GP के लिए नहीं है, unfortunately, none of us are available this time. But we'll be back for Singapore, and it's always a blast. So
Awesome.
can't wait to see you guys. But guys, thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure. You can also find all of us individually on our social media platforms. So all the names are over there. But because this is the format as to how we end our podcast episodes, so we'll do it the same way. You can find Mukesh on Instagram at.
Mukesh Manjunath.
You can find Prashant on Instagram at.
Crash224.
You can find Soumil on Instagram at.
I am Soumil Arora because I was a big Zlatan fan back in the day. So
Awesome.
At two.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Amograndive. You're not going to say, and that's because
I'm
his
not
name
gonna say
is-
it's not podcast. You can't break rules.
Arey, but
Only
we are
happens
going-
on Monday nights.
That was brilliant.
Acha,
That was
because
brilliant.
we are going to release this on
That
the
was
podcast
brilliant.
feed.
Nope, we are ritualistic. We
Acha.
follow. We are superstitious. We are ritualistic.
Yes. Okay. Fine.
That was brilliant.
Thank you to Kaizad Gurda then for composing our theme tune, which you heard at the start of the live stream, and you will hear every week in the podcast as well. And until Tuesday, it is goodbye from us. So say bye, Mukesh.
Bye, guys.
Say bye, Prashant.
Bye, guys.
Say bye, Soumil.
see you.
And it's bye.